This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, this is Paul Huffman. I'm the Census and Redistricting Coordinator for the League of Women Voters in Minnesota. I'm here for the timely topic for Tuesday, April 28th. Today I'll be talking about the census, an update on how you can participate in and support census activities in Minnesota, and the elections and legislative action on ensuring safe and secure elections this fall. A couple of things just initially. You can see that Minnesota there in the center upper part of the country is dark blue. That's a little darker than anybody else. That's a result of Minnesota being leading the nation in turnout for the census. So our neighbors there, Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa, and others are a little lighter blue. We're leading the pack. If you take a look, here's Minnesota, 64.2%. The other states are around 62 around us. And this shows you in Minnesota how the counties are doing. In Minnesota, the darker blue, again, are further along in their self-response. The brown and the darker brown are further behind in self-response. Just to highlight some areas that we're doing well, Washington counties are currently leading away at 73.8% self-response. Carver County about 73.5, Scott County is 73.3, and Anoka County is at 73.2. A couple of counties that particularly need some focus are Cook County up in the Arrowhead, 16.9%, Mahnomen County in western Minnesota, this is where the White Earth Reservation is at 19.3, and Lake of the Woods all the way up there in the north at 25.1. All three of these counties are very rural, sparsely populated, about 5,000 people in each one, and historically underrepresented and difficult to access because of the rural nature of those areas. So again, some particular focus needed there, as well as all the other light brown, which as you see tend to be the more rural areas and more northern parts of the state. But again, some of the lighter blue that you see also areas that we want to continue to focus on. Just to keep in mind that our initial self-response rate in 2010 was about 79%. Washington County was a little over 80%, just a point of reference. So we got quite a ways to go to get to where we were 10 years ago at this point. An opportunity that we have to engage members and support the state in a complete count for the 2020 census is a phone banking opportunity. The State Demographic Center has procured and implemented a phone bank application. They've got a list of registered voters in Minnesota that we can contact in order to get them, encourage them to respond to the census. There's only 5 questions for this that focuses on have they gotten their letter from the census, invitation to respond, have they responded to the census, do they have any questions? So that's really the limit of this, and it's intended just to raise the visibility and help get those folks who may have put this off or may need some help in answering questions. The request from the Demographic Center is that participating organizations, this is apparently nonprofits and some complete count committees, are putting together groups of people to staff these on about 10 people for a shift of about 3 hours to do this. And they're asking those organizations like the League of Women Voters to organize staff and lead those banking shifts. The commitment that's requested for this is about a 2-hour familiarization training, which are being done this week. They're from 1 to 3, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. This is Tuesday, and there was a little bit of a technical challenge today with this training. I know the state is working to sort that out, and I think all of us in this time of increased reliance on technology have seen some of these challenges. Once we do this, we ask people to do a 3-hour shift to make calls as part of a phone bank. You can do this from your home, on your home phone. And it's, again, using an application where you're calling people that are registered voters in Minnesota. So the people that already have some level of civic engagement and connection to their communities. We can include people later without the training, and we will have more opportunities to connect people with this. I am interested if people want to participate and haven't had the opportunity at this point, or if they want to organize a group of people, a group of 10 people, be a phone bank captain is what it's called, in order to support this. So please contact me, phuffman@lwvmn.org. The next topic is elections and COVID-19. Now, we all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has increased the risk to voters and election workers. This morning, Politico magazine reported that the Wisconsin Health Department has identified potentially 36 people who contracted COVID-19 from participation in the election there a few weeks ago. There may be some more. Some of those have other contacts that created risk, but this is something that is going to be a concern now, and it's going to be a concern again this fall. Some of our residents and voters. There's been effort in the legislature, and we've been engaged with stakeholders on how to ensure safe and secure elections this fall. There is a bill, House File 3499, that has been presented to both the Election Subcommittee of the House and the Finance Committee of the House that we support, and we request your advocacy in encouraging legislators to pass. This was a bill that was developed through a good faith effort to put voters first and have a bipartisan compromise. There is some other legislation that's been proposed that's clouded the water a little bit on this, but again, we believe that House File 3499 is a bill that must be passed in order for anything else to be effective and successful, and it represents the best option to achieve what the needs of the voters and election workers are for the fall elections. The provisions in this maximize our voting processes and minimize the spread of disease through existing processes. This doesn't implement any new policy or process for elections. It takes what we currently have by way of early voting and absentee voting, and just provide some additional measures to allow us to use those in a way that will be successful. It fortifies polling places from a spread of disease during the voting process, including additional PPE for election workers, potentially hardware improvements like plexiglass screens, and cleaning materials and supplies for election workers to keep those workplaces safe for both the voters and for the election workers. And then it allows us to invest in resources so election officials can serve voters efficiently. This releases HAVA election security funding, both released last December by President Trump and as part of the CARES Act in March, that totals $14.3 million in federal funding and $2.8 million in state matching funding. These funds are not intended to go to implementing any new processes or policies. I know there's been a lot of discussion about vote by mail, and that is not part of what this bill has. So this is really to support existing election processes and policies in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic to ensure safe and secure elections. So again, we encourage your support for this, and you contact your legislators. Nick sent out an action alert last Friday. If you're on the action alert list, I would encourage you to look at that, or you can go to the action alert list under the member resources on the LWVMN.org website and find that. Otherwise, contact your legislator and let them know. And if you have questions, again, you can contact me or Nick on this. So that concludes the topics today. Because of the timeliness of these two things, we're going to push off the discussion about redistricting and the people aspect of redistricting for 2 weeks. Next week, Nick is scheduled to provide discussion on transparency in local government in light of COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of local governments have been doing virtual meetings or phone meetings, and there's been a lot of questions about the conduct of those meetings and requirements for transparency. So again, if you have questions about any of these topics, or if there's something else you would like to see discussed, please send me an email, phuffman@lwvmn.org. And until we talk to you next week, we wish you well. We hope you are healthy and well, and same for your family and friends in your community. So thank you very much, and have a good week.